Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and another episode of Raj's Garage. Now, before I get into it, I've got to thank you all for the comments and mostly the positive comments on the previous episodes that I've dropped on this channel. There's only 7 episodes that we've dropped so far. Keep those comments coming. I do personally try and reply to as many comments as possible, negative or positive. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about some of my current projects. We're in 2024 and I want to hit the ground running. We're only 3 weeks into the year and I've already got 5 projects on the go. But as well as talking about some of my current projects like the 964, I'd like to show you maybe some potential projects and cars that I'd like to bring to the fleet and bring onto the channel. And you guys can follow me on that journey. Right guys, let's get into it. Right guys, let's start with the first project, the Guards Red 964. Now we're calling this one Project Frankenstein. In fact, should I give all my projects a name? We'll come to that shortly. Now this one is called Project Frankenstein because of what's sitting underneath this rear tailgate. It's not a 964 engine, it's a 993 engine. And if you've not seen that episode where we talk about that 993 engine, in the description below, there'll be a link to that. So first and foremost, for me to enjoy this car, I need level of security. There is no alarm on this car and there's no audio. So let me bring in Jay, who's our head technician at Car and Security, and we'll talk about some of the upgrades. Jay, you saying?
Done.
All good. Now, some of you may have seen Jay on the main Cast TV YouTube channel. He is the head technician here. Jay, I know you're busy.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to use this car and enjoy this car. But I can't because it's got no alarm. So it basically means I can't leave it anywhere because you know if I do, it's going to be gone.
Nicked, yeah.
So can we fit a Clifford alarm? There's an issue with the central locking.
Okay.
Okay, so I've told you about that now. Can you fix that? So can you fix the central locking, fit an alarm, make sure the central locking works with the alarm as well, please.
Okay.
And I also need some audio. There's nothing in this car. There's no stereo, there's no speakers.
Yeah, I had a look earlier. There is literally nothing in the car at all.
I have a funny feeling that you might need to run speaker cables as well.
We'll have a look. There may be some there, but we'll have a look once we get to it.
I don't need earth-shaking bass, okay?
No.
But I do need a level of bass. I need some depth and I need some quality as well.
Okay, so we'll do obviously a set of speakers in the doors.
Yep.
There'll be locations behind the door card somewhere. Try and get in 6.5 inch, maybe a set of components. And what we normally do is the under seat sub.
Yeah, we'll do that.
If we can't fit it underneath the seat, some of them you can't, some of them you can. It will basically go into the passenger footwell. Okay. But then the mat sort of covers it over.
Like I've done in my grey 964.
That's it, and
okay.
We'll do that.
All right, that's for you.
Any other issues with it?
Not that I know of, but there probably will be. We'll come back.
We'll find some on
We'll
the
come
way.
back to those and
okay.
address them later. Right, cool. I'll see you later. Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Now, I did a garage tour only last month, and I'm sure most of you have seen that. If not, there's a link in the description below. As you can see, we're quite full, and I'm talking about buying some new cars, but there may potentially be an issue of where I can store them. So I think I'll have to sit down and work out with the team where I can put this stock so I can create some more space for cars, because at the end of the day, that's the reason why you guys are here, to see cars and not stock. So let me show you some more cars. Follow me over here, please. So underneath here, we have my E30, in fact, let's take this whole cover off. E30 M3 Convertible in Macao blue. So this car I purchased about 2.5 years ago. Spent a fair amount of money on the engine. She's running absolutely sweet. The next thing is to tackle the interior. Now, the rear bench is missing. There are some tears in the top section of the rear bench where the car's been sitting outside and the leather has shrunk. That's not something that's an easy repair. So I was introduced to somebody recently who, I'm not going to give their details because I want to make sure that they do a great job. And if they do a great job, I will share their details in a subsequent episode. They're going to stitch the top section of the rear bench. Now, speaking to some leather experts, they feel that I should not need to retrim the whole of the interior because the leather itself is actually pretty good. I don't want to recolonize the interior, which is more like painting on top of the original leather and filling in the cracks. So I've now been introduced to somebody who's going to dye the interior. And from what he's told me, it's a pretty intense process, which means taking back the top color of the leather and then dyeing the color to the same original leather and a few layers of lacquer to preserve the dye and the quality of the leather. So that's what's going to be next up for this car. So I'm pretty excited with that. When the seats do come out and they go for re-dyeing, the car will be going for paint. So the whole car will be repainted in Macao blue and should come back pretty fresh, ready for some summer hood down cruising. Okay guys, so from one gorgeous looking E30 M3 convertible to the barn find, which is now ready to head over to Meguiars for some serious love. Yes, this is the car that I purchased last year, and as you see it is as I bought it. We have not cleaned this car. Moss, dust, cobwebs and all. The only thing we've done is obviously change a number plate, which we had to do to get it through an MOT. Car runs well, it starts well, but the only thing is it looks like a bag of shit. So today the car is going on its maiden voyage since I've owned it, all the way up to Meguiars. The transporter is here, it's going to get loaded up, and Meguiars are going to give this car some serious love. At least 2 days in their bay, so they'll give it a good detail on the outside, decontaminate the car, and then they'll start on the inside. They'll do the wheels, the tires, and even have a look at the engine bay. So yeah, this is going to be one fun journey for this car. I'm super excited to see what the paintwork looks like under this crap. Right guys, so we are in my office and I'm just going to share with you some of the cars that are on my hit list for 2024. Some of these cars have been on my radar for a while, but I think because pricing is cooling off and leveling off, I think this year might be the opportunity for me to not necessarily grab a bargain, but grab a car for what I feel that car is worth and not what it was maybe pitched for last year in the elevated market. So let's start off with a couple of big hitters that I'm looking to add to the fleet. Now, you guys know I'm a Porsche guy through and through, so the first car is going to be a Porsche, and it has to be a 991 variant because I'm actually missing a 991 variant in my fleet now. But it has to be a unicorn, a halo car. I think for me, in the 991 range, that has to be the GT2 RS, and I've got one here. The 991 GT2 RS is probably the pinnacle of the 911 range in the current era. I would probably say it's a better car than the 992 GT3 RS. Now, you know, if you want to destroy me in the comments, by all means do so. This is a 3.8 litre twin turbo, pushing out just under 700 brakes. So I think about 690 brake. Got the silver, you've got the black, There's some yellows flying around, and there are some red cars out there as well. Most of them have the Wiseac pack, which is all the carbon bits from factory, and you've got the cage and the bucket seats and so on. It's one of my unicorn halo cars in the Porsche range. Now, let's go to an Italian car. Now, I've always owned Ferraris of some sort. I started with a 360 back in 2005, then I had a 430, then I ran a 355 for about 7 years. I don't have a Ferrari in the range, and I love to get back into one. And for me, another unicorn car is the 458 Speciale. And we have one here. 458 Speciale, loads of carbon bits, 4.5 litre V8, pushing out about 600 brake horsepower, very limited run. And I do like the limited edition cars. You know, I have an E46 M3 CSL in the fleet. I've got the 993 Turbo, the 964 Turbo. And for me, this is probably the pinnacle in the Ferrari world. Again, if you want to destroy me in the comments, please do so, but these are my own personal opinions. Still got that analog drive. It's the last of the naturally aspirated Ferrari. So after the 458, you went into the 488, which is a twin turbo, which changes the whole driving dynamics of the car. Limited run. The 458 in itself is a fantastic car, and I've driven a few. My friend has one. I've given his car some beans on the NC500. Absolutely blown away. And I think the Speciale is that and a lot more. Pricing did increase. I think in 2021 there's a massive jump for the Speciales, and it looks like the pricing is cooling, and I don't think leveling off, but definitely cooling. So maybe 2024 is the year that I add at least one of those two Halo cars to the fleet, or if I sell enough car stereos, maybe I can add both of them. Now, let's bring it down a level, and one car I've been talking about on my socials for a while, and it would complete that sort of 90s, late 80s, early 90s, boxy arch, hot hatch rally car is the Lancia Integrale Evo 2. And guys, I have one open here, what I think is a ridiculous price, £139,000. I don't think they're at that level. The yellow is the color for me. They just look so vibrant in yellow, and it's, I think, one of the rarer colors as well. Has to be an Evo 2. And finally, one other car, guys, and that's a 240Z. So last year, 2023, went to SEMA, and I've always liked the 240Zs, but actually seeing them there all modified, and quite a few of them were air and slammed on the floor, myself and my right-hand man here, Palm, fell in love with them. So guys, expect to see a 240Z on the channel and in the fleet at some point. This will probably be a company car, so we'll use it for the business for PR purposes. So guys, one cool trick which I picked up on last year, which is a great way of analyzing current market values of prices and actually what the asking price is by independent dealers. It's very easy to see car is marketed, for example, for £100,000 and think that's the true value of the car. But it's only when you start noticing that the car hasn't sold for a few months, you realize that can't be the true value because it's not sold. So there's an Auto Trader price tracker plugin that you can use, and check out what it does. So remember that 991 GT2 RS I showed you earlier on at £339,000? Well, I'm in Google Chrome, and if you look at the same car here on Auto Trader using the AT price tracker, you can see that in June of 2023, that car was being marketed for £366,975. In the last 7 months or so, this particular dealer has dropped the price by £27,000, currently being marketed at just under £340,000, and is still not sold. So it goes to show you that the market is cooling, and I believe will cool even further. And obviously we all know the reasons why. Interest rates, finance rates are through the roof. Nobody wants to pay 10, 11, 12% APR on a car, which is going to sit in the garage most of the time. So there could be some bargains to be had later on this year. So I'm going to keep watching the market, and when I feel that the market has leveled off, I will jump in. So guys, these are a few of the cars that I'm looking at. There are a few others on the bucket list. I'll share those with you in another video. But what do you think of these cars, and which one would you go for? And am I missing a trick on something? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's get back over to the workshop and check on the progress of my Guards Red 964. So guys, I don't want to give too much away. As you saw in the previous clip, the barn find went to Meguiars. And when I went to pick the car up, I was blown away. So Dale and Grant spent the best part of 2.5 days cleaning the barn finds. That's externally, inside the car, and the engine bay. And when I went to pick it up, guys, I was blown away. I could not believe it was the same car. Such a difference. I don't want to reveal the car to you yet because everyone loves a detailing video. And yes, guys, we have shot a separate detailing video with the Meguiars team, which is going to be released on the CAS TV, which is the main business behind really me, Car Audio Security. And that episode will drop in a few days. So make sure you've subscribed to the CAS TV YouTube channel. There is a link down below in the description. And once that video drops, I'll insert the link in the description. The car just looks amazing, guys. You've got to see it. But one thing I did realize after picking the car up is the interior, the seats, how poor they are. And let me just show you those. So guys, the interior, again, night and day difference. But what has been highlighted is the driver's side bolster, these rips and tears where the stitching is. So I think to bring this car to a much more presentable state, I will need to get this bolster fixed. Now the chap who's repairing the other convertible, the Macao Blue, the rear bench of the Macao Blue convertible, he will probably repair this. Depending on how the interior of the Macao Blue looks once it's been re-dyed, I will potentially look at re-dyeing this. The rear bench is clean. It's just the front seats. You can see there's a few cracks and so on. Other than this section, the bolster, the leather's in very good condition. So guys, I'm hearing that Jay in the workshop has completed all the work to the 964. Let's head on over into the workshop. From what I understand, everything is done. Here's the remote control key fob, the Clifford key fob. Pressing the top button should lock the doors. And yes, as you can see, the doors are locked. The indicators did flash. Press again, and there we go. It's unlocked. So we have an element of security now in the car. So when I do drive the car, it could just be to the gym. I know that nobody's going to pinch it. There's also a tracker that's been installed. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to show you how we've installed the alarm or the tracker. Let me now show you the audio. So I've gone with the Kenwood head unit. Now most of you will probably opt for the Blackpool Retro unit, which I get, and I have that in 2 or 3 of my other cars. But I wanted to keep everything at a lower budget here. The Kenwood unit is half the price and gives all the features and some more compared to the Blackpool unit. I've changed the color illumination so it matches the interior amber red lighting. So I've paired my phone to the stereo, so I've got Bluetooth streaming. In the front doors, we have 6.5-inch Rockford components. 964s and 993s actually take a 5.25 in the front, because I don't have the door cards, I've opted to go slightly bigger. And I've not added any rear speakers yet because I have no rear shelf. We have a JBL Bass Pro SL2. There's also a little bass controller here, which will allow me to decrease or increase the bass, depending on what kind of music I'm listening to. I'll give you a little demo. So let's go to Bluetooth. So the bass is flat now, more or less. So that's just the clarity. Pretty clear. Now let's introduce some bass. So the bass is now kicking in. Yes, there's some serious bass here as well, guys. Now, I need some music because I will be going on road trips. And while it's quite nice to listen to that flat 6 engine, if you're stuck on a motorway or an autobahn, the last thing you want to be doing is listening to a droney exhaust and the engine note. So it's nice to have some music. Listen to a podcast maybe. Yeah. pretty good. So hopefully guys, you've enjoyed this brief episode, which has covered 3 of my current project cars. Now, there are another 2 cars. So we've got the Mercedes 190e 2.5 16 valve, which is on its way to Jamie at JTech. It's got starting issues and there's a bit of blue smoke coming from that car, and fingers crossed it's not something major, because that could be quite expensive. And then also my black 964 turbo. Again, that's had a bit of smoky issues. Now, the smoke seems to have got a little bit worse last year, so that's booked in with Northway Porsche, and I know they'll be dropping the engine out of that car. So those 2 cars will have their own separate episodes, which will drop on this channel. Now, we've spoken a lot on this episode, not only about my project cars, but also some potential cars that I would like to add to my fleet this year. Let me know what you think of those cars. Bad? Good? Is there anything else you feel that would fit nicely in my fleet? I'm constantly looking to add cars to the fleet, but they've got to fit well with what I already have. And I think you guys probably know by watching some of the content on my channel, the stuff that I like. So guys, make sure you smash the like button and make sure you have subscribed to Raj's Garage and also Cast TV. The link for Cast TV is in the description below. I'll see you on another episode on Raj's Garage. Thanks for watching.